What's up, Internet? Welcome back to the Roottrees Are Dead, Roottree Mania. In the last episode, we finally got 4 more people locked in. We're at 12 on this Roottree Mania, but unfortunately, we had most of them pretty figured out. Like, we knew Sonia, we just didn't get her last name, and we knew these two, they just got locked in, and this was a person we knew already, obviously. So, didn't really feel like a full set of progression, but we've been re-evaluating some of our notes, and trying to get an idea of what this all is. There's a couple of leads I want to pull on. The first one is the ASL woman, who I now are forgetting her name. Yeah, this feels like this is important and I could get it. And then the other big one is Elias and this whole family tree, which I have not touched at all. I was expecting to get more evidence from Clark or whoever who walked through the door, but we didn't do that. So instead, I think we need to really open up the books and see what pieces of evidence can lead to something else. So this, despite getting Elias, has some stuff about it. There's something that I need. Now, here's my thought, because I was thinking about something at I left a little bit on a cliffhanger. In 6 pieces, it says that Ernie once heard her say, "Who's Beth?" He overheard them yelling about someone with that name. There's a chance that he actually heard Bess, because it's close. There's a lot of Elizabeth and Beths. There's a Beth Knox who was at the company for a very long time, so that could be the person. But we haven't really looked into Bess Williams, so I'm curious about that. There we go. Bess Williams was an author born in the late 1800s. Let's do a new page. Elias. Let's do just an Elias page. Bess Williams was an author born in the late 1800s. She lived just outside of Miami and died tragically young in a hurricane that struck the area in 1926. Bess has a minor history with the Roottrees. Her only notable book, Family Man, is widely considered blatant propaganda about Elias Roottree. It had all been but forgotten until recently when it was re-released during the height of Roottree Mania. There's a site dedicated to hurricane statistics that also mentions Bess Williams. Now I'm doing it. The Bocadoro Library, not far from where she lived, was partially destroyed in the hurricane. When they rebuilt, they named the nonfiction section after her. The library was expanded again in 1950 and then closed in 1963 when multiple larger libraries opened in the surrounding area that made it redundant. Okay. Now let's also just see if there's other... She shouldn't be in many of these, but let's check it just in case. She's not in Portland. And Starlet? No. Okay, so let's go back. Let's look this up. Aha. The Bocadoro Library no longer exists. You find multiple libraries in the area. According to the website for the library system in Miami, the building where it once sat is now the Miami Print Museum. Searching for the Miami Print Museum, you come across their website. It states their hours and a list of exhibits. The building is very small, admission is free, and they only have room for a few different displays. One of the exhibits is in their courtyard, which includes a fountain as well as a statue of an unknown author. The picture has been added to your evidence. Another is a printing press that was used by the Miami Sunday, aha, a now defunct weekly newspaper. The last is the original print of Cuba by Cubans, an art book. Lot of stuff here. Okay. Also, a fountain is interesting because we have the other fountain that Ruby Sprat did, right? But that's in Portland? Yes. So that's not close. Okay, so first of all, Miami Print Museum. Okay, that leads to the same thing. The Miami Sunday, though, is going to be a periodical. Whoa, the Miami Sunday has no records you can find online or in your periodical search. It merged with another periodical and became the Miami Mercury Sunday, which folded after only a year. The Miami Mercury Sunday was a newspaper that lasted only a year, from 1949 to 1950. You find a small website about quirky printing history facts that mentions the Miami Mercury Sunday was the outcome of the merging of two smaller failing newspapers. This resulted in one larger failing newspaper, which was only notable to the author because by combining the names the way they did, it was tied for the longest title for an American newspaper at the time, with a newspaper in Jefferson, Texas. Jefferson, Texas is a real place with a newspaper called the Jefferson Jim Placute. As far as you could tell, nobody you've been investigating lives in Texas. Yeah, this is a rabbit hole I think we fell down. Okay, the last of the original print is Cuba by Cubans. Cuba by Cubans is a book of paintings of Cuba released in 1963. It's credited to Marcia Barban. At first glance, it doesn't seem related to your search in any way, but come on, we know what that means. If it's given it to us, we got to check it out. Cuba by Cubans. Cuba by Cubans is a book of paintings of Cuba released in 1963 credited to Marcia Barban. On second glance, it still doesn't seem related to your search in any way. I'm not letting it give up that much. Come on. Okay. Let's try something else. We're doing the whole gambit. Did I do news time? Okay, how about... Probably not the chef's one. Maybe these two? No, okay. But I did have something print out, so hold on. Oh. The Miami Print Museum. This is a statue in front of the Miami Print Museum, formerly the Bocadoro Library north of Miami. It sits in the courtyard and according to the site, is said to be of an unknown author. So we have a picture. Of theoretically Bess Williams, right? I mean, that's where this led us. Yeah, that's interesting. And when does this say this happened? 1921? So if it was in fact Bess Williams and not Beth, I want the Miami. I feel like I want to know a little bit more about her. Let's look up the Miami Print Museum. Hold on. I don't know which of these it would have, if any of them, but Business Watch? No, it doesn't make sense. It wouldn't be in any of these. Ugh, okay. That, it feels like a dead end, but I don't want it to be. Okay. That's one element of the Lias. Chef's Signature still has something? Look at that. Chef's Signature, a nationally published magazine. Let's read this really slowly. James and Robert Garland on the cover of their November 1998 issue. According to the article, the two brothers own a small walk-up window in Boston called Friday. It serves whatever. Hold on, just looking at their... Cool. Many of the offerings are heavily inspired by the powerful spices found in Thai and Indian food. Their signature dish is the samosa cone, which from a distance somewhat resembles a traditional ice cream, complete with a waffle pattern. Instead, it contains all this stuff. Robert jokes that although the age difference has left him delegated to wear the sous chef jacket his whole life, he doesn't mind. As a result, James answers most of the interviewer's questions. James credits his love for food and his culinary skills to their upbringing. Most kids hate vegetables growing up, but they don't have parents like we did. My father was a chef, and my mother grew up on a farm that supplied his restaurant. That's how they met. I don't have any memories from the farm or anything like that since we moved here, but before I could talk, but they told me stories. My dad's a great storyteller. She had to go back to work as a secretary even after Robert was born. Before we were old enough to go to school, we spent our days with my aunt. In the diner where he worked, my dad had no room for experimenting. So he had whatever. We'd go shopping and cook on his family. Mama always had an eye for the best vegetables for him to work with, and she did her best to pass that on to us. According to the article, their parents, who are now retired, visit Friday often. They even have a signature signature dessert, Sistine apple. Apple pie has always been my mom's favorite, and my dad has the stupid line he used to make her laugh involving apple pie. Most people realize it's a Sistine Chapel pun and assume that's all there is to it, but it's actually secretly named after them. Most people realize it's a Sistine Chapel pun and assume that's all there is to it, but it's actually secretly named after them, not just her, them. It's so weird to have like a statue as a picture. That's so crazy. I know it's trying to get me to get the mom, Christine, here. That's what the remaining one is, but I don't really know what. Well. No, really? They're not gonna give me the Sistine Chapel. She and her husband Steve, who was a chef at Antonelli's, met years ago when she delivered produce from her mother's farm. Steve used to work extra hours just to be there during her deliveries. She's a secretary, but went back to delivering produce on the weekends. I know we've done this, but I feel like I'm missing something about her. Right, and then I look up the book. I wonder, actually, looking up Ruby Sprat on the Business Watch. Let's see. Oh, okay. Wait, I've seen this page? Clark Rafferty LaRue, as well as Ruby Sprat and her company, Ruby Legal Enterprises, were featured in Business Watch after the company took over as the keepers of the Clancy Trust. There's an article about that process that interviews both Clark and Ruby. It seems that Ruby actually approached the Roottrees sometime in late March after the Roottree Rift, but well before Roottree Mania. An accomplished but relatively low-profile lawyer, she offered to work for very little money, so long as she could be a public face to build her reputation. The family quickly jumped on this chance, as many family members often attempt to spend as little as possible to keep their shares of the Clancy Trust as high as possible. After looking over the Clancy Trust more carefully than anyone had in years, Ruby came to the conclusion that Clancy Edward Roottree's implementation was not legally sound, and there would be some constant legal challenges without some modifications. The family decided to put her in charge of the trust, both legally and as a public face, to prevent further issues. Ruby Legal Enterprises has been described as a mix between a law firm and a PR firm. Her first move as sort of a trial run before she was hired permanently was to help them draft a public statement accepting Sam into the family and declaring that they'd begin to address the Clancy Trust. This went quite well, and they've officially hired her in early April. Ruby Legal is now in charge of many financial aspects of the company, including verifying any claims to the trust and organizing the various charitable causes, such as scholarships that have been set up in the name of the deceased. Okay. What happens if I do this? Okay, same thing. Okay, Business Watch ran an article about 2 months after the Roottree Rift about what really happened with Roottree. The article mentions that nobody from Roottree that they reached out to was willing to go on the record. Instead, the timeline of events has been constructed from public record, accidental leaks, and a quote source on the inside. The only parts that are new to you are the most vague parts, the ones that supposedly confirmed by the anonymous source. The timeline says that the family actually had held a preliminary vote after Carl Roottree died, but before the release of 6 Pieces, and they decided they wanted Ron Roottree to take over because of his experience running RR Productions. I feel like I read this. Yeah, I definitely read this. I don't think I read this, though. Let's pull the Clancy Trust back in. Nope, same page. I guess I should look up Clancy Edward Roottree too, right? Interesting. Newstime briefly covered a lawsuit between Ruby Sprat and Picotee magazine surrounding Cicely Sanchez. They said that Cicely didn't have the rights to redistribute the photos in the magazine of Guy Hudson. Picotee apparently announced that they would be pulling their issue the following day, the moment that Ruby Legal Enterprises threatened them. This caused the issue to sell faster than any other magazine's history, though only for a day. Even people that would never have normally purchased it went out of their way to buy one just in case it'd be worth something someday. A legal analyst from Newstime states that it was unlikely that Ruby would have had the story pulled if it had gone to court, And Picotee likely got more eyes on it than it would have if the Roottrees just ignored the story. And I don't think Ruby Legal is going to be relevant for any of the other ones. Yeah, I'm just trying to find a starter here. I guess that's what this is for, right? The numbers. I sent his mistress, Susie something. His mistress, Susie something? Is that someone we even have on the list? Do I have we have a Susan. Is there a Susan in the... here? Susan Ford. Oh, Susan Ford was our... Right, she... Okay, so we might have to do a dive on Susan Ford, because... Right, so Susan Ford, we think is here. So if we just place this in, right? If we say that this is Susan Ford, he doesn't... So this might be his last affair, but this is his... Oh, right, because then, look. Then I know who this is. This is the ASL interpreter. Oh, that's really interesting. Okay. Let's go back about... Let's do Susan Ford again. Oh, this was through the it was through the deaf school, right? Sussy Ford. Okay, so let's go and find that. Yeah. You can scan through all the way to find the principal. Miss Ford is fluent in 5 languages, including ASL. She's not deaf herself, but rather she learned like whatever. Hudson Wing. And she learned ASL from the main school. Surprised her future husband. Hudson Wing opened. She became the first teacher at the new campus. At first, it only operated on the weekends. Oh, wait. Wait, I think I have this wrong. I think I have this super wrong. Because... Oh, wait. Where's Picotee? Mid-1981. Months after I had moved in. So this is close to the end of his death. He sent his mistress, Susie something, into the bathroom to proposition me. poor girl. I remembered her from her trips overseas. She was too good for him. Anyways, he died soon after, and that was the last it ever came up. I think this is the Chinese family, and it's extremely limited. It's just... And that's why it was wrong, because I put it in the entirely wrong side of the thing. So, this is Jinyu Lang. She's a CEO. She looks like this. And her daughter that she gets with IVF, but not exactly because it's hers, is Min Lang. And she's a college student. How many is that? That's 2. Okay. I actually feel really confident about that now. Because otherwise it didn't make sense. Because otherwise then she's having the baby of everybody. It's too complicated. I think this makes so much more sense. The IVF hides everything. She only ever had the one, and the other people are completely irrelevant. And I don't have a picture of Mark. That was the thing. I was trying to find pictures of all these other people, and I didn't have them. So this is Susan Ford. And the reason I say that is because she tried to impress her future husband. They didn't exist. They split up. Yeah. Okay, hold on. Susan Ford. She's a teacher, technically. Is she the principal? Yeah, principal. Okay, so if this is true, then this is Susan. God knows who her husband is. And then she has 2 children who we have not seen yet. What happens if... Because that's on the normal website. Let's try... Okay, here we go. Grandorf Dove was a school for the deaf near Butler and was regularly listed in articles with other schools. The Butler County Times archives includes what seems like an endless list of snow cancellation, extracurricular activities, and weekend events that began over 70 years ago and stretched into the last mention in 1990. Amongst the avalanche of useless information, you almost miraculously discover one useful article. Grandorf Dove was at the center of a crime article from '82. It seems that someone defaced the school and vehicles outside of the brand new Hudson wing of the school. There were multiple broken windows, and one of the teacher's cars was painted with profanities and accusations of infidelity. A few weeks later, a follow-up article provides more details. There was one arrest, Thomas Hughes. Let's just put this in research. Thomas Hughes, who was coincidentally a former student at the school. Apparently, the destruction came weeks after he married the school's newest teacher, Mrs. Hughes. She was not a teacher when he went. He graduated a few years earlier. According to the reporter's investigation into the police reports, trials, and restraining orders, Mr. Hughes was convinced that he was not the father of Mrs. Hughes' current pregnancy. He was released on bail, and the school has agreed not to press criminal charges after an agreement was made to pay for the damages and for the couple to begin the divorce proceedings. It seems Thomas Hughes, Mrs. Hughes, and the Hudson Wing have all avoided further appearances in the Butler County Times. Okay, do I have anything else? I know that what it just said, but... Okay, so Thomas Hughes, though. I do have a Hughes. And then they have kids. I wonder, can I look up Susan Hughes? No, because she goes by her name Ford, but... She goes by Miss Ford on that page. Can I do Hudson Wing? Same thing. After an agreement was made to pay for the damages and for the couple to begin the divorce. So she split up with him. It seems Thomas Hughes, Mrs. Hughes, and the Hudson Wing have all avoided further appearances in the Butler County Times. I feel like we have to kind of milk Thomas Hughes a little bit, though. How do I do that? I feel like that's the direction, right? Because that's the new piece of information here. No. How do I get Susan Ford's children? Or his children, I guess. Let's see. Did I do this already? Mary Clementine? Oh, wait, so they would be Mary Webb publicly, but legally they'd be a different name. Aha! Got it! Okay, that was a good little distinction. Hold on, just checking my... Okay. I'm going to probably want to wrap it up soon, but Mary Webb in San Diego has a website called Webb on the Web. Apparently, it's a personal travel diary that also doubles as an advertisement for her travel agency. Okay, I was wondering when we were going to get a travel agent, because that's on that list. Mary Webb, okay, has a website called Webb on the Web. Cool. Her travel agency, I'm just going to put that in there. I don't know why I keep closing the thing. It just feels better to be able to read this full screen. There are descriptions of Mary's services, including booking flights and cruises. Almost all of them involve extremely niche audiences. It seems Mary is the #1 agent when it comes to booking spiritual vacations aboard ghost ships and in specific hotel rooms that are said to be haunted. She has a dedicated section for more traditional modern cruises that cater to specific groups such as fans of boy bands. In the diary entry, she talks about the trips she's personally taken and uses that as an opportunity to feature descriptions of amenities and excursions that the ships offer, even when you're on them to see a specific band or a ghost. There's also pictures of ships, hotels, landmarks, and places she's visited, as well as a picture of Mary herself with a ship in the background. One of her diary entries actually mentions that the day that the photos were taken, she was allowed onto the ship on a port day in San Diego with a professional photographer she knows. The photo of Mary has been added to your evidence. Where is it? All right. Hello, Mary Clementine / Webb. Webb on the Web, paranormal travel agency. She's apparently fond of a niche booking. A company called Corporate Composition Photography is listed on the top left. This is Mary in front of an alleged ghost ship. Was lost at sea. Wonderful. Here we go. Corporate Composition Photography is a photography studio that was listed on a few different sites for businesses in San Diego. It seems to have been possible to hire them to take professional quality photos for businesses of all sorts. As far as you can tell, it appears to no longer exist. The company is also mentioned on a photography site with some IRC chat logs. It seems that the site is the personal page of a member of an IRC photography channel. Okay, so hold on. real quick, before I get too far. I'm hoping I can get her. I'm looking to get her sister one way or the other. And if she's not the married one, I want her sister, her husband, and their child. Okay, so. Corporate composition photography. Great. Okay. What is IRC? In... Internet Relay Chat. It's like AIM but outdated. Got it. Okay. Sorry, I did not grow up in that era. Cool. One of them was from 1996 when Val, the former head of photographer from Corporate Composition Photography, did a Q&A with their users about taking pictures for promotional materials and print ads. Most of the questions and answers are pretty technical. They not only seem irrelevant, but generally go over your head. One of the questions, however, mentions that Val was on the cover of Telephoto and asks about Iraq. The question was quickly shut down by the person running the Q&A, who says Val does not wish to answer any questions from his photojournalism days, nor does he wish to talk about LBP. Please keep this on the subject of commercial photography. Aha! Yes, very good. What is LBP? Oh, no. Okay. I think LBP is going to be our next thing to look at, as well as looking at our next set of evidence. This is great. I love it so much with telephoto. We're going to put that one in there too. Wonderful. Okay, we are making progress. I don't know in what direction, but we are making progress. I'm going to call it on this one for now, but we will see you in the next episode. Please give this video a like and subscribe if you want to see future episodes. We're doing well. We're doing it. We're doing it. Maybe another 4 on the next episode. Maybe right at the top. We'll see. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.